Okay, hello YouTube. This is my chapter 2 of my story asterisk. Um, and I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. The first day, I left off on the first day, and this second chapter is just going to talk about the first couple of weeks that I got to know this guy, who I immediately really just was captivated by. So here's chapter 2. The first week was kind of a blur. I really just remember talking to him all day, and texting him and just getting to know him, and constantly just, I remember apologizing so much for not getting to him as soon as I could, even though I knew I was busy. I was at work, or I was at rehearsal, or I was busy doing something. I was always like, sorry, I couldn't get back to you as soon as I could, because I just knew that I wanted to keep talking to him all day. I anticipated every text message from him. Literally, like, the butterflies on my stomach could have filled up a skyscraper. I was so excited to just like text him all day and just hear from him and see how he was doing and what he was doing, and him being interested in what I had to say about myself. And it was just over the smallest things. Like, I was really happy about like him asking like how I was, what was I up to. Like, it's great that you work with kids. You'll have to teach me how to dance. Where do you shop? What do you like to listen to? Everything. It was such a good feeling. And yeah, I mean, that was literally all I remember from the first week is just those texts. Besides anything else, I don't remember that could have been important. I don't remember that happened. That first week also was our first phone call. That Thursday, which is kind of sad that I remember that specific day, but I do. I was on my lunch break, and he texted me saying that he was going to call me, and I was okay with it. I was like, okay, cool. Just I'm gonna be going on my break. I'm gonna go get some food. I was anticipating his phone call. I was really nervous. One, because I didn't want to sound weird to him, and two, I just wanted to know what he sounded like. I wondered what his voice was going to, how he was going to sound, kind of thing. If he was going to get bored with the way I talked. Just random things that made me nervous. I don't really know why, but yeah, he called me. I remember I still had food in my mouth, so it took me a minute to answer the phone, and I answered. He was like, hello, Steven. I'm like, hey. And he was like, hey, how are you? And I just remember liking his voice a lot. It sounded very welcoming, and he just seemed really nice. I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember quickly having to tell him that I would call him later because my break was almost over. And that was it. That was literally the first phone call. So the anticipation of like having to finish it was so high. I went back to work. I told my coworker, I'm like, oh my god, I talked to him. I'm felt weird because I was on my break and I couldn't really talk to him as much, but like he sounded really like, I really liked his voice, and I just, something about his voice was really stuck with me, and I really liked it, which is super silly, but I did. And I was just so nervous to have to like call him again and finish our conversation and just keep talking to him. And so I went home from work, literally paced around my apartment, waiting for the perfect time to call him. What were we going to talk about? Just so nervous. And I had never felt like this before, so it was all new to me. And so finally I just like sat on my couch, gave him a call. He answered, thank goodness, and that was it. And we started talking right away. I apologized about having to finish our conversation early because I wanted to keep talking to him, but it just wasn't a good time at that moment. And so just that was the beginning of the conversation, and then it kind of just turned into us getting to know each other again. I don't remember what specifically we talked about, but I just remember thinking that he was next to me. Like, it was just like this surreal, picturing him there telling me these things about himself. And feeling so warm and full. Like I just felt like the sense of closeness to him. It was really weird. And it felt right. Like it just felt really right to me. And this is, looking back, I wonder why I felt all those things so soon. I don't regret it. I mean, I couldn't regret it because it was just something that I felt naturally. That period of time we just talked and I felt like we blabbed. It felt good. It felt nice. That night I went to bed a happy guy again. And getting to hear him say that he would talk to me tomorrow was a good, made me feel good. It made me really happy. That was it. That was literally that was the first week that I remember talking to him. And then it just turned into a regular thing. We text some more. I would be at work texting him throughout the day, telling him like what's happening with my kids. I would text him at rehearsal, telling him that I had rehearsal for 2.5 hours and I was exhausted, but I would still stay up and text him. He would text me when he was going out with his friends. I would text him if I was going out. I would text him the minute I got home. I was watching a movie. I would text him while I was biking home. I would text him biking to rehearsal. Like at any moment, he just knew I was doing something, but he had to know, and then I knew that what he was doing, and that's what it was for like 2 weeks. A few weeks go by, a few calls, and a few Instagram comments later. We were giving each other 100% of our attention, completely. Whether it was through text, calling, social media, you name it, we were constantly communicating. And up to that point, we had the "I really like you" conversation, which was basically me being too scared to tell him how I really felt about him, and him asking me to be honest about it. And I was too scared too. I was too scared to come out and say like that I really liked him and that we could be something, because I didn't want to put myself out there and look stupid, and I thought at that time that would be impossible for us to be anything because I was here, he was where he's from. It just, in my brain, realistically didn't work out. And so I said, never mind, I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. And he had asked why. He just was like, why do you think that? I don't know what, I don't understand. Explain to me why you're saying this. And I just was too scared to say it because I didn't want to look stupid. I was like, I'm saying this because I really like you, but I don't want to pursue this because you're here, you're where you're from in Minnesota, I'm here in Arizona, like it just doesn't make sense. And he was like, okay, if that's what you think, and I felt like shit. I was like, it could be possible, but realistically, like it doesn't seem possible. And I felt bad about saying that because at that point, I knew that he was kind of implying that he thinks that it's possible. And so I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that in that way. Just in my brain, it realistically didn't seem possible. And he just was like, what do you mean? Like, it's completely possible. Nothing's impossible. I really like you too. Just be honest with me, about just be honest with me about how you feel about things. We just left it at that. I was like, okay. And I was, from that point, was honest with him. We now knew that we liked each other. We now knew that we not necessarily were willing to make a relationship work because we still didn't really know each other, but that it was like that something there, it was possible, it was there. And so we still stayed in contact, and we still shared things about each other and still had those phone calls. And so, I guess it was a very well needed conversation. And that first week, experiencing, his phone call, having that "I really like you" conversation really kept things going, and made me even more happier, more excited to see what else was to come with this, because we liked each other. And so that's the ending of chapter 2. I'm really excited to share the next 2 chapters soon. So I really hope that you stay tuned for those videos coming soon. Bye.